Let's see what this is all about, shall we? I am not an anime guy, but today I'm talking about my JoJo collection, particularly JoJo, but also the other works of the author. His name is Hirohiko Araki here, and I thought it'd be kind of cute to go through the stuff that I own for each of the properties that he's made chronologically, so we get to see how the art style changes throughout this video. Now I've done a very shit job of showing you that by showing you these part 1 books, because the art on the front of these was drawn about 2012, 2015, somewhere there. So this is a part 8 art style look at part 1 characters, but this is a manga collection of the Bao Raihosha, which means Visitor from the Future series. And you can see this is the original Jump publication artwork there on the front cover, or inside the front cover. And this is quite old. The year that I got this was only a few years ago, but it was very old at the time. And you can see, I'm hoping it focuses properly, that this is some proper retro manga, which is very, very nice to have. I don't want to crease the book too much, not because I'm a filthy reseller, but just because something like this, you can experience the story online, but it's much nicer to preserve the sort of physical media in a good state, you know? Like if I just wanted to read it, I'd read it online. I already have read it online in English, although I can read some Japanese. I studied it for a while. I just wanted to own this. Beautiful, beautiful little volume. But yeah, this was pre-JoJo. And then we move into the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure series, which is, as I'm sure everyone watching is aware, an action, horror, thriller, crime, philosophical at points, sort of all-encompassing manga series. And this is the first part, or I guess season, you can think of them as, of the manga. It later got turned into an anime. And yeah, these volumes are called JoJonium, and they have a few fully colored pages at the start, orange and black colored pages during key plot moments. This is the very beginning of the story, I'm sure. I'm not going to pause on every page because that's probably illegal, but black and white for most of it. So this is the original artwork. I think it looks lovely. I love having these in my hands. And you can see at key moments, it goes orange and black. And I'm not going to flip through every single one of these because there are quite a few. I hope that is just a speck of dust. Yes, it is. One complaint I will talk about right now while I remember is that they smudge super easily. I just washed my hands quite thoroughly for this because I want to take care of my stuff, right? But even just having my thumb on it, you can see it's shiny. Anyway, absolutely beautiful artworks of these characters in the future of the real world. But this is not how they look in the story. So you can take note, that's Jonathan and Dio there. And Wang Chan. Very, very beautiful retro artworks. The second volume, more of the same. This is Will A. Jeperi. That's not a nice sound. Vampire Dio. We've got all sorts here, yeah. Bahamon. And Blueford. I forgot they made Blueford look like that. That's a translated name. The original name is Bruford. B-R-U. But that's kind of cute. Takes us all the way up to... That's a iconic moment right there. The very end of part 1 with the coffin. And the future of the series. And another thing about these JoJoniums is that they all have these lovely author's notes. These are new for this. Why is Dio naked? Because he wanted to show off his beautiful body, you see. This is important information that you wouldn't learn if you read the original release. And then here we've got Jonathan. That does not look like Jonathan, that looks more like Joseph to me, but as I said, this is an updated print. And that's it for my part 1 collection. I'm a fake fan, I know. I've only got the JoJoniums, which is the collection of all of the original manga here, but I haven't got any figures or anything like that. So I'm going to move on to part 2 now. Now, I didn't really touch on it too much, but a lot of fans, myself included, sort of think of part 1 and 2 as one entity, because there's a lot of overlap with characters and art style and themes, and in fact when they turn it into an anime, part 1 and part 2 were grouped together as season 1. So I didn't give my thoughts on part 1 just a moment ago, but I'll say it was very, very good as far as the time it was written, the audience it was written for, and with the author's experience. It really, really was not bad. It was an enjoyable read, and it's very short as well, that helps. This is part 2. You can see the same art style on the front. Unfortunately, this volume has a chipped corner. These were pre-owned. I bought these off of a good friend of mine, actually. He's probably watching this, honestly. And I'm not pointing fingers at all, but these are a little older. These are not store fresh, unfortunately. And we can see more of the same style of art here. I love these little icons in the corners that show off the sort of key things that happen in that volume. They were in part 1 as well, but I'll mention them here just because this soda bottle means nothing really in terms of the theming of the story, but there is a scene early on where our protagonist Joseph, JoJo, uses this bottle. He launches the Coca-Cola bottle cap to break a police officer's finger because he's being racist. And yeah, Joseph's pretty cool. But that bottle isn't anywhere else, so the reason that it's here and not on the other ones is because it's just referencing this particular scene. And the stone mask, similar thing. It's very cute. I'm not going to point out exactly what every single one is, but yeah, there's Stroheim's sacrifice, that's also in the video game as one of his supers, which is very funny. The cactus with his pursuer. Yeah, very, very nice. I'm not sure why they were allowed. Oh no, I was mistaken. They did translate the name from Santana to Sant Viento. Please focus. Yeah, Santana like the band, like the guy, but no, it's Sant Viento in English, unfortunately. Very lovely volume, but I'm not going to go this in detail on every one because there's a lot to get through. And I'm going to move on to volume 2. We have Lisa here. This was the character that inspired Rose in Street Fighter Alpha, actually, which is quite cool. And here is Wamu. Nope, that's Essie. See, the art style really changes a lot over the years, because if you were to look at them in the part itself, you can... I'm not sure where he is in this one, actually. He definitely is, though. There's Caesar. Yeah, here we go. They look quite different in this artwork compared to the more slim modern artwork. Still very nice artwork, just different, just very different. Volume 3, we've got Caesar doing a rather interesting Jesus pose, foreshadowing mayhaps, and there's Wamu. I remembered they were doing the same or similar poses, and they look so similar here. But yeah, again, I'll just show you some more of the artwork. Very beautiful. It looks very similar to part 1 though, visually. And then here's, you know, spoilers. Lots of spoilers, really. And the author's note is right here. Gyro and Josuke inherited Caesar's bubbles, and that is very cool. Yep, crucifixion, in other words, his future, because he gets crushed under a cross-shaped rock. This is making me sad. I'm gonna move on. And we have Kaz. This is very unrecognizably Kaz if you have only seen him in external media, because he has this head wrap thing only early on in the part, which is quite interesting that they use this design for him. And that is not Joseph. Like, yes, it says it's his name, but that is not what Joseph looks like in my head or any fan's head. So I'm not sure how I feel about it. Here's Wamu blinding himself. Beautiful artwork. Here's Wamu doing the pose, which you'll see with wind. And yeah, there's a couple of color spreads in here, which is really nice to have. I'll show you a lot more of those later when I get to the art book section, but it's nice that they threw them in here as well for people that can only have access to this kind of one. As for part 2, again, that's about it. I'm a real fake fan. I don't have any part 2 merchandise, but I promise this whole video is not just going to be me showing you my cool books. There's a lot more to it, and you shall see that very shortly. Part 3. Yes, there's quite a few more volumes here, and also some other things. Let's start with this guy. Now, this is a gacha machine figure of the character The Fool, which is the stand of Iggy. It's so small it's not going to focus very well, but you can see this is a stand stat sort of thing. And you can see the little text on there. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to put it in the video anyway because I'm showing off everything I own, but it's just a little bit of hunk of plastic, not much to say really. We've got these, which are, I'm fairly sure, a rip-off of a real product. I'm also going to move these books out of the way just for your viewing pleasure. The Tarot and the 9 Gods of Egypt. This is a rip-off, I believe, of a real product, but it's cute. You see, in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 3, Stardust Crusaders, during the second half of the story, they find these characters which have stands named after the gods of ancient Egypt, and before that they fight characters that have stands named after tarot cards. So this is a sort of, you can look at how tacky it is, a collection of fake tarot cards that reference all of these, and I'm just gonna do a little bit of a spread here. And we can see that these are the first 14. I know they're a little cut off here, but you get the idea. They're these really wacky artworks. These are shown in the show briefly with like a pretty generic back. And they have some cute details in them, such as a lot of them are plastered with Lucky Land, which I believe is the publishing studio or some kind of publication thing that the author worked with. I hope I can show the Empress. That's a bit obscene. I'll show you some of the gods now. And you can see that the gods, some of them are horizontal. I'll show you Anubis, because this is a very prominent stand during part 3. The back's different, which is quite cool. These ones are Atum and Thoth, or Thoth. I'm not sure how you're actually meant to pronounce it. But Atum is the stand of the Darby, the elder Darby brother, Daniel, and he uses his to turn you into a poker chip, I believe. And his brother has, I would like to say Osiris. I think it's Osiris and Atum that turn you into those. I may have swapped them in my mind. But yeah, very, very cool to own. This is the one that a lot of people will recognize, because this card in the anime is shown to Jotaro by Muhammad Abdul when he's naming his Sand Star Platinum. So that one's famous, but the rest of them also do exist in universe, which is very cool. And of course, you know, Zawarudo, Judgment. There's a lot of significance to these within the JoJo series. Let me just clean these up real quick. So, yes, they're rip-offs or fakes or whatever you want to call them, but they're cute. Yes, the corners are a little whitened from being old, but I think they're cute just to flip through and see, oh, so that's what it looks like up close, because you don't see them in depth in the manga or the anime. Moving on, I'm just going to go through a couple of these volumes. Here is Jotaro himself. This is looking a little bit closer to how he actually looks in part 6. That is not Star Platinum. That guy looks so weird to a modern audience. And you can see the art style is mostly very similar to part 2, but it's starting to get a little more JoJo. I mean, some of the faces are still a bit off in this early part, but and yeah, sometimes you'll see characters' designs change a little. Like this is Joseph's design at the very start with this turtleneck thing and a red brooch, and then he no longer has it. And this guy just looks like Jonathan, but then later Jotaro's face develops a lot more, right? Very cool, very cool. That's volume 1. We got Grandpappy, he is blonde in this, and he is blonde in, I believe, the OVA adaptation, which I have not seen, of Part 3. And he is also blonde in certain other artworks and in the JoJo fighting games, I believe. Up until the recent ones, of course. Which is interesting, because I would never have guessed he was blonde, right? Because the hair's always dark in Part 2, on the head and on the face. Well, he doesn't have any on the face, so I'm assuming it would be the same, you know? I get that there can be a difference. I mean, look at Morioh, he's got brown and black, but it just seems a little counterintuitive for an older man. Volume 3, we've got this very fucked up looking whole horse. And Emperor. Got the Hanged Man. Quite similar artistically. That was an annoying fight to watch. Felt like it went on forever. We've got Enya the Hag in Volume 4. That doesn't look too far off her actual design, I will say. Maybe because she's a little more stylized. And you can see the Arcana match those cards here, drawn on the back. Very similar. We've got Kakyoin on Volume 5 with his pink hair. This is the coloration that they used in the anime during his fight with Death 13 and Manish Boy, which is cool that they reused that same color palette here and in other places, of course. But the fact that they're bringing it back in modern day is quite nice, again with the anime. He is Hierophant green. He is green to my eyes, but the camera he looks a little more yellow. I'm not sure why that is. Maybe it's a lighting thing? No, the camera just thinks he's yellow. I promise you he's more lime green in real life. Speaking of Hierophant green, now's as good a time as any. Here we have a figure of Hierophant green. This guy on the cover. Yes. This is how he sits. He sort of sits on this flat base, and he's got batteries because he actually lights up. I got this guy quite cheaply online from like a Japan importing service. I think it was Surugaya with the free shipping. And he does light up, but I don't think I've got any batteries in him just because of like safety. Yeah, nah. I would show you if I had the correct batteries, but I do not on hand. This guy is just kind of cute. You can tell it's quite a low quality sculpt. It feels like a Skylander in my hands. But the reason that I had this guy is because it's a perfect match with these guys. Jotaro and Kakyoin fight at the start of Part 3. And I thought that these together, having the same sort of flattened base aesthetic, and even the fist, it's like perfect. It's perfect as an action piece, right, on the shelf. So that's why I have this guy. I'll talk about this one real quick. This is probably the most dynamic figure I own, because this is all one piece. You sort of put it together a little. This plastic part was separate. I believe the legs may have been separate. I don't remember exactly. I'm not going to take him apart to show you because this guy's old. This is a very, very beautiful piece that was from the original collector's edition in Japan of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure All-Star Battle on the PS3. He's going to keep tipping over because this carpet is like soft and I'm not comfortable with letting him do that because this thing is, I mean, it's fragile. You can see it's already come out of his foot. I'll deal with it later, but you can tell that this thing is beautiful. I'll show you the game now. This is JoJo's Bizarre Adventure All-Star Battle, the game that previous figure was bundled with. You can see that he's using a very similar design on the front cover, a little less blue though. And yes, I can read Japanese. Yes, I have a modded PS3. But honestly, if I was going to play this game, I'd rather play it on the PC with All-Star Battle R, which is the updated re-release. This game I played on the PC originally as an emulated game with my friend, and it is very bad. It's very funny, lots of fan service, but very bad. I do like the faces reflected in his body, that's very cute, of all the JoJo's. But yeah, give this one a miss. I'll do a quick mini unboxing. This is the very fancy box that game came in originally. You can see that unfortunately mine has got a major dent here from being dropped. I'm not sure if it was by me or by someone else, because I bought this again, pre-owned, from Japan. And it's a very pretty, very fancy box. You can see on the back it comes with a disc, which is a soundtrack CD, which is really awesome. And very unfortunately, I could not find it for today. It is somewhere in this room, absolutely. But it is a plain CD case, and I have how many boxes of games? It's been jumbled away. I promise you, it is in perfect condition. If I do find it, I'll show you at the end of the video. And then of course we've got this figure here that I just showed you, and we've got this golden placard thing, which is right next to this disc, wherever it is. Again, I'll show you if I can, but it's a picture of Giovanna, and I believe his stand as well, and it's like a gold metal standy thing you put on your shelf. It's pretty useless, but it looks expensive. I'll show you a quick unboxing here, just in case anyone cares about the packaging inside. Yeah, so I have this game, and I've also got this game again as like a pack-in thing with this collector's edition, which is quite funny. Oh, well there you go. You know what? I've just found them. I was a good boy, and I remembered to put them away safely, where I would not lose them. Isn't that beautiful? And there's a stand for the figure. I don't use it because he doesn't actually need it, but that would help on the carpet. Here's the disc. You can see in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 6, Jotaro's stand disc gets taken away from him by White Snake. And this is it. I really love this. I'm keeping it sealed just because I'm a lame loser and I don't see any reason to break the seal. I love this as a piece of merchandise. It's so cool to have Jotaro's stand disc as a physical disc I can hold. That's awesome. Now, I remember last time I took this box apart, it was a bitch to sort of put back together again properly. Maybe I was wrong. But this is the box that the figure came in. It's empty currently. And I believe this is just packers. Yeah. And here we've got assembly instructions. The base that the piece of metal was packaged in, very, very nice packaging. And here we've got the bit of metal itself. You can see it looks expensive. It's just a bit of metal. Just a bit of brushed metal with an engraving. But it's kind of cool to own. There's some pins, and they're on the shelf over there. I actually have not lost those. I probably should put these back in the box when I'm done. And I will do that. But yeah, that's my JoJo's Bizarre Adventure All-Star Battle PS3 Collector's Edition. Continuing with Part 3, we've got the... Continuing with Part 3, we've got the 6th volume here, with Avdol. And you can see the artwork is not changing too much. This was quite a long run, but you can see Jotaro's face is much more of his own thing now, rather than just Jonathan again. Magician's Reddo. Very nice volume. And as a bit of a change, here's another JoJo video game. This is... Obviously this sticker is new. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure for the Super Famicom. This was never released in English, and you can tell that it is quite old. But I got this at a used game store in Japan, and it is very cool to own. I popped it in. It's not a good video game, but it is very cool to own. I will show it again in the SNES Games episode, if I get to that. Probably will. I mean, I've got quite a few, but they're all in Japanese, so... I'm not going to have as in-depth of reviews for those as I did the Switch game. Here we have Volume 7 with Darby Elder, and don't worry, I don't have every volume for every part. Yeah, it's Osiris for Daniel. I was wrong earlier. Very nice. I don't have every volume for every part. This is actually the last part that I have the full volume sets of, unfortunately. There's Iggy, that is a very fucked up looking Iggy. And there's Zafur. That's what he looks like. Not bad. Not a bad approximation for a chibi form. Quite cool. You can see his design change even within this. There's him fighting Pet Shop. We've got Jean-Pierre Polnareff. Interesting that they were allowed to call him that on the cover, because in the fighting game JoJo's Bizarre Adventure All-Star Battle, which I just showed you, it was translated as just Jean-Pierre. They weren't allowed to say Polnareff, but they are here, which is interesting. And then Sulba Chariots, which is drawn as a purple and red guy for some reason. Yep, here's the video game fight. That was very cool. What was that red? Oh yes, this beautiful flags image. And does it have any flags that are outdated today? I'm fairly sure everything's updated to today. I'm not sure what country that is there. And volume 10, the last of part 3. We have a fight with Dio. Look at him posing. And Zawarudok with his beautiful... He's doing the pose that Dio was doing in the photograph, which is cute. And you can see, climax, there it is, the frame. I'm glad that I own this physically. It's very cool. Nice, another color spread. Just very cool to own. Why did you do it again? Because it makes him seem more like a Greek or Roman god. Because he kind of is, isn't he? And then for the last part of the part 3 section, I've got yet another game, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure for PS1. This is actually the precursor to the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure fighting game franchise as a whole. This is a port of the arcade game, JoJo's Venture. And it is very, very good. This was the game that I learned traditional fighting games on, using my Game On friend stick, which I will flash a picture of here. Very, very scuffed. I had to use the left side only, and I pretty much just played Whole Horse, Iggy, and Old Joseph, but I mean, look at that retro style. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful game. This was expensive. This is... I'm pretty scared to even open it. This is an extra insert for the side, I believe. I don't even know what that is. We've got the guidebook and a game, of course. PS1 boxes are always a bit sketchy because they feel like CD cases. I don't know, I don't love the way they feel. But yeah, this was $50 in Japan. 5,000 yen. But I'd say it was well spent. I'm never going to find this anywhere else again. And I'm glad that I own it. Moving on to part 4. Kishibe Rohan, or Rohan Kishibe if you are so inclined, is one of the greatest characters in fiction, in my opinion. So great, in fact, that I can't even fit all of my Rohan merch even close to on screen. Now, going slowly, one at a time, Kishibe Rohan is a character from Part 4 of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Diamond is Unbreakable. But fans like me loved him so much that he got his own entire mini-series of sorts. I actually do not have any main JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 4 merchandise that is not Rohan. I do have this, which I'll talk about in a minute, but I think I'll get the Rohan stuff out of the way first, because a lot of it is pretty separate to Part 4, but it uses a variety of styles, because he hasn't stopped doing them since Part 4, because he really likes them. Now this, Rohan at the Louvre, as you can obviously read, also known as Rohan O Louvre in Japan, is a collaboration with the actual Louvre. If I had a nickel for every time a franchise I liked crossed over with the Louvre, I'd have 2, with the Nintendo 3DS as well, which is odd, you know. It's actually had JoJo works displayed in the Louvre, but yeah, no, this is a very, very beautiful, beautiful book. Cute story as well. It's non-canon to the rest of the Rohan franchise, because it shows that he's, as a young man, already, I don't know if I'm allowed to show that. But he's already got his stand at this point, which is, you know, a contradiction to the events of Part 4. But it's a cute story, it's nice. I can imagine a scenario similar to this happening in the actual universe. And I really like owning this physically in English. I'm very glad they did it so many years after the fact, because it means that the Louvre was playing ball still. I don't know. It's a very nice volume. And then it actually has like a guide to some of the stuff you'll find in the Louvre, which is really cute. Careful, you're on the last page, read it the other way because you're a stupid idiot that doesn't know Japanese. Very nice. You can tell that it was also very expensive. I should probably take that sticker off very carefully at some point. However, that very nicely transitions me into these, because I made that mistake with... no, it wasn't this one. Yeah, look at that gloss that's just been ripped off, because I tried to take the sticker off ever so carefully. The glossy part ripped off, which is awful, and I didn't make the mistake again for volume 2. These are the Thus Spoke Kishibe Rohan manga anthologies. There's more that exists than this, but these are the only 2 that have been turned into hardcovers in English. And first of all, I love the art style. These were made around part 8, so this is more of the part 8 art style, part 7 and 8. And it's a collection of short stories. Some of these were from part 4 time, like these were from part 4 time, in real life when they were written I mean, but some of these are much more recent. And it's a collection of 4 short stories. This is probably my favorite, this one with the blood demon guys. I'm not going to spoil it too much. Very beautiful artwork. Something similar to this is actually my phone background. Yes, very nice volumes. And you can see that the art's changed the way his face is drawn, even from the start to the end of this one. And then this is more of the same. 4 more of the short stories. I love this introduction where he talks to the camera. The Harvest Moon. This one kind of sucked. Deoxyribonucleic acid is really nice, wherever that is in here. Is this Rainy Monday? Yeah, this is Rainy Monday. Oh, and The Run. This one was famous because it got turned into an OVA a few years back, 2020 maybe, and people loved it. There was also a Rohan TV drama. And this has a lot of interesting lore implications as well, because they are canon as far as people are concerned for the main JoJo universe, which is weird given that like gods and shit exist. I mean, it's JoJo, anything can happen, but it's still weird that gods exist, you know. Yeah, the TV drama of the Rohan saga is a separate story. It's non-canon, but it's really nice. Mr. Issei something. The Rohan voice actor in real life, he seems like a cool dude. He's got a movie covering the Louvre, actually. The whole Louvre story here as a movie. And he also does The Run, does a couple of other things. It's very cool. This is probably the cuntiest figure that I own. I mean, look at the face molding, look at the lipstick, look at the earrings. He's so extra. Look at the way it's flicked up on his ear. It does come apart, it's meant to. It's not wobbly because I've broken it, but that's just how it comes. I love this guy. No stand, so he's a bit wobbly. I don't think he'll stand up on the carpet. Yeah, nah. But he's a lovely display piece. I love this one. Now this has probably been a bit mysterious to you all, sitting on the table this whole time. This is Rohan Kishibe's signature. That's a fingerprint, it'll come off. Whoops. His signature, specifically the signature that they use in the TV drama, as a coaster. And I got this for like $5 online because I thought it was really cool. But my hands are making it fog up. I'm going to stop touching this. But isn't that awesome? Such a highly specialized piece of merchandise. I believe I got this at the same time as my Mega Man X7 notebook, which is quite funny. I'll show you that some other time. Here is another Rohan figure. It's too big to even fit in, so I'm going to move the phone up a little just to show you. I know I'm breaking your mind here. But yeah, it's quite a nice figure. It's not going to focus too well through the plastic, but I haven't actually unboxed this one yet. This one is still box fresh. I certainly will unbox it at some point. When that is, I have not decided yet. And you can see on the back and the sides, there's not much to see. I'll give you a look anyway. It's going to be much more difficult for me to film the larger items that I own just because of my very crappy camera setup. This, I mentioned I'd get back to it, may as well do it now. This is a book about, well, it's pretty much just the script to the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Diamond is Unbreakable Part 1 film. Not Part 1 of JoJo, Phantom Blood, Part 1 as in they expected the film to be successful enough to make multiple live-action films. This actor for Jotaro here, I believe he's in jail now, so I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. Yeah, I found this really, really, really cheap in Japan, and I thought just having it in my hands, the cover is funny enough. I haven't actually taken off the inside cover. Yeah, it's not much. But yeah, this movie was really bad, but I did watch it. Quite funny. It was filmed in Italy, I believe, or maybe it was Spain. Either way, it was not the US, not Japan, not anywhere you might guess. I don't know why you'd guess US, that's just where it first came to mind. Moving on, this is a collection of short stories about Rohan. I got this in the same shop as the film script for like $2 or something. No, $7, there you go. Still really cheap. And I had the intention of getting better at Japanese to read it. I could probably sit down and spend an hour and a half trying to go through each page and understand, and oh yeah, I remember that bit of grammar and vocab, but I haven't actually read them in Japanese yet. I've read them in English. They're cute. They're cute. This is just a nice volume to own. There are like 6 more of these. I think I'm good with 1 for the moment, honestly. These are a funny story. Now, the observant among you will notice that these are in fucking Chinese and not Japanese. And that was because... Hear me out here. We had 5 minutes to leave the store, and I wanted to get these because I looked online, saw that they had these in stock at Kinokuniya in Sydney. I'm not sure if they moved the shelves for the Chinese and Japanese sections, or if I was just in such a rush because I knew that the shop had them in stock, there weren't many, and we had 5 minutes to leave, that I ran in, saw the guy, grabbed it, recognized the name, because the name is the same. The name for these characters here is the same, it's just the other characters meant to be. I'll get a reference. I don't have them in Japanese physically here. But it's very similar, except it's all what you'd call kanji if it was Japanese here. I grabbed the wrong ones. I paid like $5 for nothing. I mean, it's funny, it's a funny story. But I gotta donate these or something, man. It's cool to look through the artwork in the original size, but that's about it. That's the only reason I still got them. I'm a stupid idiot sometimes. These are the prequel to JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 4, called Crazy Diamond's Demonic Heartbreak. These are all of the ones that have been released so far, and I believe this is through the end of the story. You'll notice the third one is still in its plastic. I wouldn't put these at the start of the Part 4 section because they're not in terms of when they came out. These came out much more recently, like in the last couple of years, and it's a very different art style. It's a completely separate artist, actually. But it is considered canon, and it is very cool, and it expands on Kakyoin and his cousin, I believe. I actually haven't finished reading these, but yeah, Mariah's insane in this. They're cool to own. I definitely should read through them. I got like up to halfway through this one, and then lost interest, and then the third one came out. So yeah, I got to get back to these. But there's Josuke. Very, very cool. I'm glad that I have the full set. They look very nice on the shelf. And finally for Part 4, JoJo 6251. Now 6251 might seem like a really weird title if you don't know the context. That was the number of pages, I believe, that were released up until that point for JoJo overall in Japan. Now, obviously that is very wonky of a number because there's a lot of things that you might count as a page, you might not. A double thing's a page, or 2 pages is like the character sheet in between with like a sketch or something, a page. Is the author's note a page? I don't know how they got to this number, but this is the number that it apparently was at. Now, I bought this a couple of years ago, and you can see it's in Japanese here. it's a bit less obvious because it's in English here, but no, it's Japanese. They recently announced an English translation, which is really nice. Also, I like how the art wraps all the way around. That's very cool. But that is a bit annoying for me because I could have waited a year and got it in English, but I don't mind too much because it's an art book. What this is an art book. It has some information about characters. It has some interesting like world building, a look back at the series. I mean, there's a lot of this which is just sort of information, but a large portion of it is, oh, there's a family tree there, an encyclopedia. Most of it's art, and it's art from all different ages. That is Cool Shock BT. This is something you'll see later that's This is pre-JoJo. There's Bao, the guy that sort of leads into JoJo. More Bao. That's the cover. And that's a volume cover. The very beginning of part 4, you can see his very, very angular face, and then they softened it over time, and he became Elvis, and then he became a little squishy guy, which is quite nice. Yeah, this is just a visual joy. It's like a coffee table book. When I have my own place and I have a coffee table, this is the kind of thing that's going to be on it. That got turned into a figure, that pose. It's just, it's glossy, it's high quality, it feels really nice. This is a very, very famous artwork. My hand looks red in the camera. Very, very beautiful. Now, I'm not going to flip through every page. There's the famous pose, because I have multiple art books that often repeat this artwork, but I just wanted to give you a glimpse of what it looks like through 6251. And there's a lot of encyclopedia, actually. I underrated it earlier. But here's some information about the author himself, Hirohiko Araki. Beautiful man as well. But the main part people buy it for, oh, an ad, beautiful, is this whole art book section, which is really nice. Part 5, this is all I can show. I do not have any of the part 5 manga. I guess you could count the golden Giorno like metal board thing I showed earlier, but that's not part 5 exclusive, right? This is it, really, honestly. And what this is, it does have a good story. This is a Wish.com ripoff of a real, highly expensive product. It's a pen. It is a non-refillable, single-use ball pen. It feels very uncomfortable to write with, as you might expect. And the mold quality looks like a first-generation amiibo. But that's part of its charm. It's even got like the crack in the head like the original Inkling Girl. It is a very bad product, but it is so funny and looks so slutty that I couldn't not buy it at the time. Now, my original plan for this pen was that I would bring it into the HSC, which is the Australian high school, end of high school sort of big exam, where you bring in your own pens and so on, of course, and I thought it would be really funny to bring this in, slap him down the desk, and then, you know, do my exams with him. I thought that'd be really funny. But because the ink is only stored in like, I don't know, up to here maybe, it ran out in like a day, and I was very sad that I couldn't use it in the exam. But looking back, I was probably not taking the exam seriously enough. Bruno pen, very funny. I'm sure someone watching, you know who you are, will be laughing at the Bruno pen this whole time, and the fact that I admitted that publicly, that I was gonna fuck around with my final exams with the Bruno pen. But I mean, it's good memories. My mother finds it funny. She knows who Bruno Bucciarati is. But that's my only part 5 item. For part 6, I've got just these, I believe, without delving into other packages and things. This is obviously Emporio El Nino. Very squat, stumpy, gross-looking child, but I love him. He did save the universe. I've got the box here for him, but I do not have the boxes for these two because they are in some things that I've got where I stack all of the flat pack boxes together in the shelf, in the cupboard rather. So I didn't feel like it would be very much use for me to dig those out to show you the boxes for these guys, because you can guess what a box for them would look like if that's what his looks like. Different brands, but still. You may notice that this is an alternate color Jolene and normal color Stone Free. You may also notice that Stone Free is built insanely when it does not appear to be like that in the manga and anime, but I didn't make the figure. It's a weird pose as well. This is based off the anime, I believe. Grandista, I'd like to say, is the brand. Anyway, I got these very cheaply in Japan. I don't love the sunglasses on this one. If it'll focus, you can see... There we go. You can see that they're just molded plastic. There's no see-through element. But the rest of the body looks alright. It's not bad. Again, built insanely. But, I can't complain. And then here's our Jolene. One thing I will mention is that this string coming out of her finger is a loose piece. You sort of need to wrap it around on your own, and this feels really bad to do. But you are meant to sort of take it off and put it around, and it looks really gross and it feels really gross. I'd rather they just have it be a molded piece. But this was a very cheap figure. It's quite nice. I would rather have the original color, but that's like $50 more. And these three together look fine. Yeah, so maybe part 7 is my favorite part, but in English it's got like nothing physically, and the merch that it does have is pretty out of date and hard to find, incredibly expensive. So I am going to offer you this horseshoe. Because Johnny has one on his hat, that's the best I can do. Yes, I live on a farm, I have horses. And there is one cute little tidbit about horseshoes that I can share in place of a JoJo item that I think you may find amusing. In sort of horse taming people, farm, whatever you call it. I don't want to say religion, superstition, that's the word I'm looking for. Luck is stored in the horseshoe, as many of you know. Don't think it, don't say it. X is stored in the Y. But yes, luck is stored in horseshoes, and that's why you can never hang one upside down, because the luck will all fall out. Which I thought was quite funny, given that they sit like this most of the time, and the horse will lift its foot. Well, I guess they kind of lift it like that, but still. There's your horseshoe fact of the day. The other thing that I thought of is that I have this thing that I'm not going to explain too much about right now because that's for later, but it has gyro on the back, and this I wanted to mention because it says comic by Araki Hirohiko, but it does not say JoJo, it says Steel Ball Run, because for the first year or so of Steel Ball Run's lifespan, I believe 2006, 2007, they didn't call it JoJo, it was just Steel Ball Run, because he had swapped to a different magazine at the time, from Jump over to something else that I forgot the name of. And yeah, they didn't call it JoJo. They just called it Steel Ball Run. Isn't that awesome? Anyway, I'll show you this one in a minute. And this is all I've got for JoJolion, unfortunately. As my other favourite, or second favourite part, I really should have more. But at least it's better than part 7. This is volume 1 of JoJolion. You can see very nice artwork. Very nice spine. I wish they used different colours instead of purple for all of them. But this is a Japanese regular volume you'd find in the shops. So I just opened the page directly to the first. That's you can't see that on YouTube. Yeah, there's the first appearance of Softo and Duetto. That's the pose he's doing. Isn't that awesome? Here is Soft and Wet, one of my favourite stands. Yes, that's its real name. He's got my posture, unfortunately. Poor guy. I do like how the arms are asymmetrical to mirror that that panel 1-to-1. I really like this one. It looks very, very nice on the shelf. Very, very striking. And if I move him over here, really quickly, I'm just thinking I forgot to show the box for Soft and Wet. I only took it out because it is comically large for what it is. I thought I wanted to rant about how annoying it is to keep a hollow box like this. Some people would say just throw it out. I would tell them no. I live in a prison of my own creation. You can see a little bit more of the screen. Now we're moving into things that came out around part 8 or after. but before part 9, and I'm not exactly sure of the dates for every single one of them, so I'm just going to talk about them a little bit out of order. Hope you forgive me. I know, I'm evil. Here we've got the JoJo's Bizarre Quiz Book, 500 questions, and you can see that they have all 8 of the main protagonists up until that point. And you can see some of the things they're advertising on the back. You got Crazy D, you got Volume 1, and you got JoJo Magazine 22 Winter, which I will show you in a moment actually. But yeah, this is a quiz book. It's got some, like, this folding out thing. It's quite strange, with like a family tree on it, which is kind of cool to look through once maybe. But most of the bulk of this volume is, here's a question, do you know the answer? And then it shows you the answer later, and it'll be like, let me find one that's like simple. You know what? You guys don't know Japanese, I'm just gonna leave it. You get the idea. I did spend maybe 30 minutes flipping through it and answering some of them, but a lot of them are so basic that you have to wonder why they're even in here, because if you do know the answer, you may as well just go be reading JoJo. And if you don't, why have you got this book? It's not like fun, interesting quiz questions. A lot of them are like, what is the power of the world? Or whatever, right? Cool to own. It's like $5. And here we have probably my favorite of the JoJo art books that I own. It just feels so much more premium. It was maybe just because it was hard to find and expensive. But this was from an exhibition he did in 2012. JoJolion started publishing in 2011, I believe. So this volume was not too long after that. And there we go, Lucky Land Communications. That's his company. And you can see the bump on the finger. That's a callus you get from writing too much, I believe. That's the joke. And you can see on the side of the book, Ora, 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 which is the stand cry of course, Star Platinum. And this one is practically all artwork, and this shows off the different parts for each different color really, really well. Stardust Crusaders, we're getting a little bit more modern, the pointing, and this is some of the highest quality art you can have in a book. I love the fish here because he's a marine biologist, like me. Still part 3, there's a lot of part 3, and then purple for part 4, you can see early part 4, then he gets a little bit more developed, then late part 4, he's a lot softer. What a cute little guy. Big fist, Lamau. Again, album cover references. Yeah, that's just a fashion magazine cover. Very, very nice. Then part 5, again with the fashion magazines, and this is not how Jono looks in the part, this is referencing that particular style. But yeah, you can see people getting softened and skinnier now, quite evidently. And there we go, that's the color palette they used in the anime that many years later. This is one of my favorites, I love this color. This dress is cute for Trish, symbolic too. Moving to part 6, we've got, here's the women, and Foo Fighters, and Narciso Anasui, and Weather Report. Basically it's only 2 women, but still. We got Femme Anasui here, which is cute for the artwork. And everyone's a bit softer, lankier. He's really found his style in part 6, I think. This is one of my favorite pieces of artwork. Here's her referencing her cousin. There's the Pucci frame. Is that Naked Dio in the back? No, it's Jolene, it's alright. The camera's making the colours a little different for me. And part 7, just a joy to look through. There it is, the volume cover. I love these cowboys, man. There's a bit of same face syndrome going on here, but that's alright, I forgive them. Yeah, that one I'm not allowed to show you either, probably. But, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful man. And then we move to part 8 in a moment. Yeah. Now part 8 had only just started, so there's the volume 1 cover in a little higher quality, and a very much more saturated color. But that's the JoJo Vela box, which is quite nice. This is beautiful. I had this as my phone background for a while. It's just a really lovely thing to own. You can see the different versions of this where they swap places on the stairs. And then we've got some other Araki artworks that are not JoJo, or they're multiple parts combined, like this. This was my computer background for 2 monitors for ages. I really love this series. If you haven't noticed, you can get both of these guys as a figure, where they're sort of doing their slutty little pose on a record disc. Yeah, this is a really, really lovely thing to own. Look at these stunning pictures. There's the, I'll show you this one in a minute actually, remember these? These are probably where they got the inspiration for the anime genre. Some of these are definitely not JoJo, these are no longer JoJo. This is the cover of Cell magazine. I don't remember what issue, but there was a particular protein nicknamed the Scrapper, and they talked to Araki and they got Araki to do a cover art for him. He's done art for things that are not JoJo before, and I'd love to get my hands on this Cell, which is I should have mentioned, that is a scientific journal, actually. I'd love to get my hands on that Cell volume at some point. And he's done work from bands and music and short stories and video games. Yeah. More albums. Merchandise. Rohan. Lots of Rohan. Rohan's this author's self-insert as well. Yeah. Just a lovely thing to own, and I don't want to bend it too much. Now I'm just going to clean up the rest of it in one big go, because there's a lot to get through, and I've realized I've been rambling a while. I don't know, I just found this crushed between them. I'm not sure why it's still here. This is JoJo Magazine 2022. You saw in the advertisement on here, I believe. Yep, there we go. The JoJo magazines, they have a lot in them I'm not going to cover. I love the sort of text in the shiny part here, like a Pokemon card. Stay tuned for the Pokemon card episode. But most of it's interviews and short stories and ads. Most of it's ads, really. It's like watching a Nintendo Direct. But there is some new content. I like the arrows here. That is very much a foreshadowing of part 9. What is that? Oh, it's the sticker sheet. I forgot about this. Yeah, I'm not using them, but they get a sticker sheet in here as well, which is very nice. I'm not going to stop and go through everything, but some of this is cool. There is Mr. Issei I was talking about. He's the star of the Rohan. Lovely. Here is another JoJo magazine from 2020. Doesn't say the year. 2022 spring. 2022 winter and 2022 spring. This was the first one, I believe. Time is flying. I don't remember what year these came out. But this one was very nice. Some anime stuff, some ads, some short stories. A Rohan one-shot was actually in this. This was the first place you could read it, I believe, which was very cool. Yeah, was that Faru's eye? Yeah, it is. This is the voice actor of Jolene. Very, very cool. And then there was a short story with Iggy and more stickers. I have not got every JoJo magazine. I'm working on it, alright. JoJonical may as well be another JoJo magazine given the thickness and the content. I really like this artwork. I believe there's like a full spread somewhere in the middle. But yeah, this is pretty much just another art book / magazine type thing. A lot of this artwork you'll see is repeated, but there's some interviews. And yeah, here's the foldy out bit. If I'm very gentle, you can see there's a whole bunch of characters from all different parts, all in the same sort of colors, being silly with each other. Very, very out of character as well. Like why is Dharma next to feminine Hermes? But I don't know. Cool to own. Just another one of these things. This was the first one I got, I think, so I was really enamored with the artwork at the time. And we got JoJo Menon. This was a gift, and I can't fit it in the frame because it's a little larger. And you can see the very, very, very fucked up looking Iggy down here. He always gets the short end of the stick when it comes to art, I guess. Yes, this is JoJo Menon. This was the 25th anniversary, sort of very similar thing, honestly. Here's a bunch of information, here's some stickers, here's some ads, although this one is much older. Here is Remote Romance. That was a very interesting thing that happened. It was like an interactive JoJo exhibit in Japan, and if you participated in it, it was within the meta-narrative that you were under the effects of remote romance. It was very cool. I wish I was there. But this was 2012. I was 7, so I did not get to experience that. And then here's some pictures. The author. There's this big fold-out thing in the middle. This is a really nice feeling paper, by the way, I should say. But this is a short story about Rohan going to Gucci, which is really weird. This one is not canon, I believe, but it's a whole fold-out Gucci advert entire comic book. It's really odd and very out of character. Everyone is very out of character in these, but it's really pretty. It feels nice. The paper's great. The print quality. It's just, it shouldn't exist. It's a Gucci ad. Some more interviews. There's the author. One of these, I'm not going to spend forever looking for the page, but in one of these 4 books, that's one of my favorite artworks, there is the picture of Araki with a donut. It might be on this page or the next one. One of these pages, there's a picture of him eating a donut that went viral online for some reason. I'm not sure why, but yeah, that's one reason to buy these if you weren't convinced already. There's a self-portrait. How beautiful. He's a great artist. And there's him meeting Clint Eastwood, because Jotaro was heavily inspired by Clint Eastwood, believe it or not. Yeah, and there's him giving him the artwork from this front cover. I wonder if he still got it. Lovely. I'm going to clean up the desk and move on to other things. Here is the last video game of the day, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Eyes of Heaven for the PS4, complete with very crappily put on sticker. This game is actual dog shit, but it is very fun to play once. This is a pre-owned copy. They're weirdly expensive, but they have a nice font on the spine, so I kind of wanted it for the collection, and it's fun. I played it digitally. It is fun for 30 minutes with a friend. It is not a good video game. Do not play this. But I do like that they have the correct color palette for him, but the wrong one for him. I say correct. The one that I like less. Green Johnny's gross. So here we have the JoJo lands. This is part 9. I probably should have done these at the end, but I just had them here. Volume 1, 2, 3, 4 still sealed and 5 still sealed. I got these from a good friend who was traveling in Japan. And I've yet to read these in Japanese, because I read them online in English, because of course I do. But they're very nice to own. I love the cover art. I love going through and rereading them. I love the weird shit that's just in these. I love owning them, but I'd probably read them in English, honestly. Again, with the spines, I wish they'd go for something more interesting, but they're just nice to own. I bought this one in Japan on my own, which was nice. Here's to hoping JoJo Lands is actually good, and me collecting them is not a mistake. Here we've got something I forgot to mention earlier. This is also in Chinese. I bought this on the same day as the Rohan Volume 1 and 2. This is Dead Man's Questions. We saw this artwork earlier. This is a collection of 4 short stories, 2 of which I want to say are Rohan, 2 of which are not. Jailhouse Lock, and this one, which follows Kira, Yoshikage Kira, the villain of part 4, after the story as a ghost when he's working as a detective, which is cool. And you can see here he is getting tortured in the afterlife and all sorts. You should read it yourself in English. It's very, very, very cool to see where the character goes. Yeah, I mean, it's in Chinese, so I fucked up again, but I have read them in English. It's cool. You should try it. This is my copy of Manga in Theory and Practice, which is a book, unfortunately a rather damaged book, written by Araki, basically about the craft of manga, as you would guess. It has been translated to English officially, but yeah, it's not very long, and I disagree with some of what he says here, but it's good. It's a good read. I have not read everything. I've read certain chapters a couple of times. Yeah, I mean, he contradicts some of the stuff he says in here, but it's cool to own. It's exactly the same visual and physical style as the JoJo. I didn't realize how bad condition my copy was in, damn. So it sits next to them really nicely, but I don't know, you could skip this one, honestly. Stillborn Run I showed earlier. This is Gorgeous Irene. This is a pre-JoJo work, published again after JoJo came out, obviously, because the Stillborn Run, that's part 7. But this box is actually just a slip, like a DS game in Japan, for the actual book, which I'm being very gentle with because these are quite old, 2007. And this is Gorgeous Irene. This was the original volume cover art. Gorgeous Irene was a manga written by Araki in his own words before... Oh yeah, this is a thank you for buying thing, I think. Before he had a wife. And he's got a little short story in there with Cool Shock. But most of it is Gorgeous Irene. You can tell the art style is quite different, but there's Jonathan. But this is the Gorgeous Irene part here. You can see there's her face. Very, very different to how he draws female faces later. But the JoJo stuff in here, I mean, there's Jonathan and Erina. I'm not exactly sure what this whole volume was originally published for, but it's a collection of Gorgeous Irene and a few other short stories by him. And it's nice to own. It feels very premium. And I've read all of the stories included in here. It gives you a list here. Gorgeous Irene, Poker, Under Arms, Outlaw Man, Say Hi to Virginia, and BT Wicked Boy. So the character that I said was a JoJo character may have just looked so similar to one that flipping through I didn't tell. And you can tell just from this is seriously retro and much more modern. His art style has changed a lot, which was the main thesis point that I wanted to show off, I guess, in this little video. I'm going to see if I can get this back in nicely, because yes, it is meant to be spine outwards, even though there's a spine on this side. It's quite strange. This is how they came. I'm assuming this is how they're meant to be, but it feels so wrong. Ugh. You know what, I'm going to mess around with this off camera. Moving on, exactly the same type of thing. I'm not going to take this one out as much. I'll take it out a little. This is Under Execution, Under Jailbreak. This is the exact same content as the one that looked like this from earlier, but it's in Japanese and it's bigger. Very nice. Very, very nice. Very nice, as a certain Clarkson may say. I've got this. It's called Lives of Eccentrics, and it is a very, very unique piece. I will take this one out. It's got holes in here with gold foil. It's got like a snakeskin texture up here under your thumb. It's quite strange. And it's this great goggly green thing, right? It's beautiful. It's a very nice object to hold and feel, but you're like, what is it? Well, it is Araki, and I believe some other artists as well. Yeah, Onikubo, what is that? Hirohisa, I think. Basically detailing the lives of some famous or infamous or even less well-known real people in manga form, which is really, really cool. Now, you can't really see it on the camera because of the quality, but it says Nikola Tesla here, and a whole bunch of other people that the average guy might not know. The Collier brothers. What is that? Mary Mallon, Ko Yoshio, which I believe is the baseball guy, and Lucas Raymond Cobb. If you know any of those people that are not Nikola Tesla, good on you. And then Sarah Darby. It's really hard to read this font through the camera. Anyway, I read these at one point, but I've forgotten the names. More snakeskin, very strange visual style. That is a piece of string because it has like its own bookmarker, but these are real people's lives and exploits, obviously played up for the drama. But I just thought this was a really cool thing that he did. And there's obviously some very different art styles in here with the different artists. But yeah, this is a really, really cool thing to own. I would recommend reading it in English though. Yeah, I'm glad I own this. I got this cheaply on eBay. I say cheaply, it was still probably like $80, but I think it was worth it. It's a really, really nice object to have. And if I'm very gentle, I can get this one back in easier because it's a hard cover. Oh my god. Could you just... There we go. Satisfying. There you go. And that will do it for today. Thank you very much again for getting to the end and listening to me talk about my weeb shit. Do not worry, I have more weeb shit, but I'm not going to talk about it today. I have got no more JoJo weeb shit, but I'm rambling.